Okay, so my chapter begins with Charles Darnier, and he's on trial for treason at the Old Bailey. The testimony begins with the so-called patriot, John Barsard. He says he can prove the prisoner has been making lists of the Crown's troops and movements for 5 years to give to the French monarchy. Barsard swears that he's not a spy and has never done anything wrong multiple times. His servant, Roger Cly, also swears everything Barsard has said is true, and that the lists in his possession were found in Darnier's desk. Mr. Jarvis Lorry testifies that Darnier did take the midnight ferry with him, and was only the other passenger except for Lorry's companions, Lucy and Dr. Manette. Lucy is compelled to say what she knows. Having taken the same ferry and spoken with Darnier about why he was there, she feels as if she's doing Darnier wrong by speaking about it and becomes very upset. She says he was on a confidential business trip that took him back and forth from France. Dr. Manette also testifies, but doesn't quite remember anything Darnier said because he had just been released from prison at the time. Mr. Stryver, Darnier's attorney, then tears into Barsard's testimony, calling him a spy and a scoundrel. A man in the courtroom tosses him a no, and Stryver points out that his colleague, Sidney Carton, looks remarkably like Darnier, and can tell the jury that they cannot trust Barsard's judgment. He also revealed Barsard to be a gambler, making him generally an untrustable witness. Lucy's testimony, he says, has been twisted by Barsard and is actually just a report of the types of conversations anyone would have with a stranger traveling on the ferry. As the jury leaves to make a decision, Lucy begins to faint and her father takes her outside. Laurie checks on the Manettes and then tells Jerry to make sure he is there for the jury's announcement. Jerry lets Darnier know that Miss Manette is much better now, and Darnier asks him to pass on the message that he's deeply sorry she has suffered through this trial. Sidney Carton asks Darnier what he thinks will happen, and Darnier is convinced that he'll die. Jerry later returns with the paper acquainted on it to take to Tellson's bank. Again, Lucy is portrayed as a woman who doesn't want to get the prisoner in trouble, which is due to partly her goodness and partly to an instant attraction between her and Darnier. Sidney Carton is also a new character introduced. The resemblance between Carton and Darnier links them up and sets them up as doubles to be compared in contrast. Although they look similar, they may be completely different people with completely different personalities. This may foreshadow an event to happen later in the book. The theme of resurrection is brought back here because if Darnier had been convicted of treason, he would have been put to death. And for this particular crime, the punishment is a very long and painful death, rather than a simple hanging or beheading. The theme of injustice is also explored in this chapter as Barsard and Roger Cly, who was the servant, try to frame Darnier using his position as a French aristocrat to make him vulnerable to accusations of spying. It deflects attention from their own spying activities, which are, according to Stryver, significant. So I believe my chapter is very important because it introduces 3 characters, allowing us insight of what to expect from them and how they'll later impact the book with their very different personalities.